is one who is creating our version of Galt's Gulch. It's actually coming into existence. It is called Liberland. And he knows how to make this happen in a way that is absolutely nothing short of profound. Vit Jedlicka is a man who is humble and yet brilliant. He's putting together a team that is making this happen. He was telling me backstage they get over 2,000 applications a day. Whoa. This says he's got something going well. Plus, they've got all kinds of new developments. And so I said, all right, today, we want to hear the very latest. What's going on? And can you give us a secret insight on how we can get our own passport for Liberland? So he said, Terry, don't worry about that. We're going to show you what to do. So join me in welcoming the president of Liberland, Vit Jedlicka.
It's always awesome to be here. And you know, guys, that you are the single most supportive crowd that Liberland has on this planet. It's almost 500,000 people now, and these are the guys that are making the difference. And of course, it's not just Liberland. I really see that the stuff is moving forward. Stuff is happening here in Anarchapulco. So, wow! Let me give you a little bit of an update of what we are doing. It has been another year, and we are working hard to make it happen. But I will give you just a short introduction for you that haven't heard about Liberland yet. We were portrayed as the foremost tax haven on this planet, that our goal is to make a tax heaven. And that's true. We want to make paradise, but not just for taxes. We also want to get rid of regulation. We want to make a true paradise on this planet with all of its aspects. And I think it's possible, it's feasible, it's simply the future of humanity. Okay, and I need to change the slide. All right. And we founded Liberland on 13th of April 2015. That was birthday of Thomas Jefferson. We were thinking what to do, how to really push our dreams to make them reality, but we didn't want to just talk about them. I was working for some 15 years before to make things like free market economy work. I was lecturing. We had some 20 million views on YouTube. We were talking about how to make stuff, and then one day we just decided we need to make something practical. So Liberland was a result of that. We just went out and we were looking for a piece of land where we could start the country according to libertarian principles. But we didn't want to go just with the American Revolution. We wanted to make another step forward. And we see that there has been very little upgrade in the way that we are running our societies. I'm very excited about all these projects like Dash, like PIVX, the guys that are here, that are the leaders in new decentralized way of governance. And that's, of course, where we are looking for inspiration and how to turn these new ways of governance into reality. So, many of you probably want to start a new country, right? How many of you want to start a new country? Woohoo! That's the great thing, right? And I truly believe that we should decentralize to a single individuals, and that would be an awesome way how the society would work. But what do you need to start a country? You need to have a population. You need to have a defined territory. You need to have a government and capacity to enter into relations with other countries. So these are the old rules, right? We are probably going to have a new ones pretty soon. But we're thinking, okay, let's combine the old world and the new world together, and let's follow the old criteria, yet at the same time build something new. So right now, we've got almost 500,000 people and some 150,000 eligible citizens, people that understand of what we are doing, and they simply fulfilled the criteria that we set forward. And we wanted people that are religiously tolerant, that don't have criminal background, that are able to make something for the country to make it happen. And not just that, a lot of people actually indicated they want to start a business. Can you imagine that we've got basically 70,000 people that want to start business in Liberland? It's amazing, right? It's more than Liechtenstein had during the peak of its prosperity. You need to have a land, and that's the most difficult part actually, right, on this planet. The countries that exist, they have monopolized and taken over almost all the free land that was available on this planet. But there are still these spots, these strange spots, which usually are created due to some conflict or due to some, usually after war or during the war, these spots are created. They're called no man's land. And if you Google, you can see that there are a couple more, not just Liberland was on the list. And we were looking deeply into that. We wanted a place which would have the best title possible, that would be in Europe, because that would contrast the most with the socialism that is flourishing in Europe. And that would show how it's possible to create out of one of the most impoverished regions in Europe, a truly prosperous place, something like a new Hong Kong, new Monaco. And when we looked into it, we saw that not a single map of Croatia shows this piece of land. It's not registered in their cadastral map. And we also, right after we started Liberland, only 11 days after it, we received a statement from Serbia that they don't mind creation of Liberland and it's not formed on their territory, which was surprisingly the best thing that they could have done for us at that stage. And we've got a government, and I'm very excited that we've got the guys with us. We've got Bogi Wozniak right there, our vice president with us here. We've got Thomas Walls, our foreign minister. And we've got Jan Purkrabek, our Minister of Finance, as well with us. So I was really thinking that it's a good time to actually take the government out and show them how Anarchapulco looks like and what great people are here. But for example, we also have a Minister of Justice. A lady is taking care of that. But the other thing is that once we looked into the justice today, we saw that the time of the regular courts is over. We've got a new time of decentralized technologies, and we can have decentralized justice system. So we're working together with Kleros and other startups to formulate how Liberland justice system will work. And the idea is basically that randomly generated juries out of the citizens, first 3, then 6, then 12, will actually take care of justice in Liberland on Ethereum. And we are developing that with not just with these startups, but with also a great team of entrepreneurs. And those are the guys that are advising us now on our ICO as well. And those are the guys that are really making the change in the blockchain business happening. We've got people from Bancor, we've got people from Universa, that's the chairman of Liberland Economic Council. We've got people from TechCrunch, from Bitcoin Swiss, from Eternity, from Aragon on our advisory board. So we basically gathered the best startups in the blockchain community to formulate how our institutions will work in the future. And we also have our currency. It's called merit, and this is something which everybody that contributes to Liberland are getting from start. They get these merits, and they will work. They will work as a currency, they will work as a token, that will work as a collateral in your justice system. But what is the most important thing? We completely changed the incentives. We said we will have voluntary taxes, but we went one step further. So whenever you pay taxes in Liberland, you become a shareholder of the country that you're living in. And I think that's the crucial change that we have to make, because the incentives are really strange, right? No matter how much you steal from others, or no matter how many taxes you pay, you have one vote, one person. And I don't think it's a feasible way how to govern the society. I think that the people that created something should make the decisions about its future. But we also have this thing which is called public veto, and that was taken from as an experience from Switzerland. So majority of citizens can stop anything that the shareholders will put forward. And so we call that system a double democracy, a feasible way how to run society today. But that's one thing, but maybe some of you already saw that quote: you can't be a real country unless you have a beer and airline. It helps you if you have some kind of football team or some nuclear weapons, but at the very least you need to have a beer. And that was the first beer that Liberland had, and because we've got a market economy that was bankrupted, they didn't make it any longer. They simply went out of market. But right after that, another company took over. So Liber Ale, now we've got Liber Beer. And these guys are doing great. They are expanding. They are also going to be a first tokenized brewery on this planet. And I think we will hear about it in a month from now. So they're using the best technologies how to issue tokens, and they will have a nice incentive system. They are also decentralized. So they've got one brewery now in Czech Republic. They went to Serbia with their concept, and this is a brewery in the United States that wants to cooperate with them. So it's one of those good examples of a prosperous company that was founded in Liberland. We also have our Liberland, which is a company that basically puts together, it's an association of Liberland plane owners. We've got some 9 planes right now, but it's expanding. It's pretty cool that almost on every continent there is at least one plane that is associated with this company, and that you can take, if you will mail them or you can fulfill the form, you will see how much are the charters with these planes. So it's pretty cool that that is working as well. And I can tell you, I don't have a single token or not a single share out of these 2 companies. They are not, in any way, they are not connected to the state, yet they are very prosperous. And there is a great new thing coming up, the Liberland Publishing, where actually I have 30%, because they really wanted me to be as part of that. But they are going to publish a book in a week from now. It's called Open Source Government, Book 1, The End of the Fall of the Political Class. And I think that that book is an excellent thing. It defines the future of governance. It's a trilogy, and it is something that I think you should read, because it is something which really kind of sets a black line after all these ways that we were governing the society, and really sets a good vision how we should be running it. What is the result of all these activities? The Czech Chamber of Commerce approached us the other day, and they were interested in forming Liberland Czech Chamber of Commerce. And it's happening. We had another meeting with them, and it's something which is going to happen. So we are actually not being recognized by Czech Republic itself, but the Czech Chamber of Commerce is recognizing us, and there are already great deals happening between Liberlanders and Czech Chamber of Commerce. We've got great architects that are helping us. One of the most famous one is Patrick Schumacher, the CEO of Zaha Hadid. He organized architectural competition for Liberland. And out of it, we've got some beautiful pictures how Liberland could look like. And also the Liberland Architectural Association was formed after this competition. We had some 80 entries, 80 architectural studios submitted their proposal. I will just show you a couple. This was an idea to create a nice big golf course out of Liberland, which I don't think would be too feasible, but amazing visualization. This was from Harvard University. And you can see how it would look like, how the streets would be laid out if that was, and it's part of our cadastral maps already. Okay, and then you need to have interaction with other governments, and that's what we are working on hard. Right now we've got 100 representative offices across the globe. I think last year when I was here it was 50. We almost every single week are opening a new representative office somewhere on the planet. And I can tell you, these guys are great. They are no ordinary folks. It's an outstanding group of people. We've got some 15 actually present, and I think it's no coincidence that so many of these people are coming from this group. And we are also building physical places. So this is our office in Belgrade, which will be officially opened in 3 weeks from now. And guess who is that guy over there? Can you recognize him? Probably not, but that's Jeff. He was present there when we got the office. That's our representative office in Prague. That's in a famous house right on next to the river. So if you ever come to Prague, And we are also making deals with other governments. So this is, for example, the meeting with the Palestinian minister that was in an official capacity. It was pretty exciting because the guy didn't only hear about the cryptocurrencies for the first time, but he also got 1 Ether as a sign of gratitude for them meeting us. We're working hard with the US Congress and with US Senate to make things happen also. I think that's one of the most feasible way how to push Croatia to behave and be our good neighbors. And we've got these guys, these representatives that are with us, and I'm wondering, is Ruth with us, for example, here? Ruth. We've got representatives, she's from Canada, she's representing us, I met her here last year, and she's doing a great job throughout the year pushing Liberland forward. But this is the guy that was nominated last week in Congo, Brazzaville. He is also a consul for Congo in UK. So it's amazing. We have people that are working for other countries abroad, but yet representing Liberland. He's taking care of my visit to Congo for the conference in March 14 and 15, where Liberland will be also represented in official capacity. Not just Congo, but we already cut a deal with Somaliland. And do you guys remember that, they say, you libertarians, you should go to Somalia. No, screw Somalia, let's go to Somaliland. And it's an amazing place, which was colonized not by Italians like Somalia, but it was colonized by British. It is also unrecognized, and I was the first president to ever visit their country. They were very excited about that. And we cut a deal. We signed a memorandum of understanding with the vice president and with one of the ministers. And we're going to help them. We're going to make sure that they are with us on the development of these latest institutions that are going to be on blockchain. And of course, many other things. We're going to go there probably in 1 month from now, and the delegation of Liberland entrepreneurs is fairly strong. I can tell you that these guys can get the banking, can get the food industry going, can get some really decent industrial development going. So Liberland can really help even these smaller countries. And the idea is, of course, to cut a good deal with some of these governments and convince them that creation of special economic zones that would be very free, almost as free as Liberland, is a good way for them to go. And through that, basically spread Liberland across the planet. That's our embassy. Thank you. That's the embassy that we are getting in Hargeisa. It's a nice place which you can visit. It's going to work as an entrepreneurial hub as well, not just a pure diplomatic office, but it will be a place where people can really meet and do business, small crypto hub. And we are getting a lot of inspiration. And of course, when Liberland started, I learned so many things about the startup societies, about private cities. And I'm very excited that one of these things is happening. And maybe you heard that Egypt is a big mess. But how many of you did you know that there is a completely private city in Egypt on the shores? Did anybody know that? Oh, right. 1, 2, 3, not too many people. So, feel free to go with me if you, again, will be in Europe or you feel like seeing how a truly private city works. On 19 and to 12 in May, I'm going there and I'm invited in official capacity to speak at their conference. It's going to be pretty exciting. There is another great opportunity. We are also heading to Honduras right after Acapulco. And we really want to make sure that we understand what these guys are going, and they're working on it for decades. They want to roll out the ZD zone. So if anybody was interested to go with us, we're going to go on Monday. And that's also why the delegation is so big. The Liberland delegation is probably like 12 people, because we want to see how the things are working there and what these guys are preparing. And this is the boat that we got, the first boat that Liberland was operating in the area of Liberland. It can host 12 people. And those were the actions that we were making during the summer vacations. People were just coming and visit, up to 50 people, very exciting groups. For example, the most traveled people that visited all the countries, 35 of them also came to visit Liberland and recognized it. But guess what? We're getting a bigger boat, and guess who is behind it? Yay! Roger. Roger helped us, and he also pledged $10 million for the first building in Liberland. And it's exciting, right? We've got a decent funding, and when we go to some government, when we talk to Croatians, we can tell, oh, these are the guys that are seriously interested in investing in Liberland. But this boat will be placed right next to Liberland, on the shores of Liberland, between Serbia and Liberland. And we are going to have exciting events there throughout the year. Every single weekend there will be something. And this first event that we are going to have, the 3rd anniversary of Liberland, will be co-hosted by D10E. That's the leading conference on decentralization. So we have got amazing speakers, people like Brock Pierce, who is, by the way, building a small Liberland in Puerto Rico, right? If you heard about it, and I'm very excited about it as well. People like, the founders of TAS, Gordon Einstein, and others that are great speakers. But we will have also Jeff speaking there, and that's going to be pretty cool. So if you guys are over in Europe on 13th of April, I will be more than happy to see you there. I told you about companies, right? But we actually didn't require companies to be registered in order to operate out of Liberland. But so many people were pushing us, guys, you have to make some sort of registration. So we did that, and now the companies are registered on Universal Blockchain, and anybody can go and, for not too much money, can register a company, get a certificate, basically start doing Liberland business. It's a bit difficult, but you also can get a bank account. You can accept cards. We're still working on it. If you had some good contacts in that field, we're more than happy to talk to you about it. Universal Blockchain did a lot for us. They were also the first ICO that was supporting Liberland, and they pledged 5% for the development of Liberland out of their fund, which is pretty cool. So, there are all these things that are happening and that are pretty exciting. But what I would say again, we are not here to recreate the old world. We are here to support and embrace the world that is coming, and it's the centralized world that will completely take over nation states. Just like Bitcoin is taking over the financial world and it will swallow the banking system, I would say, in 10 to 15 years from now. And I'm not the only one, by the way, who has heard Benjamin Netanyahu saying that there will be no more banks in a couple of years, right? The leader of Israel, I'm talking and I'm going around the world saying that, and I feel like I am revolutionary, and then the guy that is running Israel for so many years says the same thing. So it's likely, very likely going to happen, but that is also going to happen on every other level. And that's why, I'm very excited that these things like Aragon are out there that allow you not just to launch your token for your company, but they also allow you to govern your company entirely on blockchain, govern all the processes that are connected with the company. And then it's just like Bitcoin. Why the hell should you register your company in some crazy jurisdiction, where you have to communicate very problematically with its institution, if you can register it and have a transparent back office for the company itself. So, I was a bit faster than I wanted to, but that gives us time for questions. And I'd be more than happy to answer anything that you would like to know about Liberland. And also, feel free to contact me with whatever you want, and I will make sure that I will reply. Some of the days are more crazy, but usually I'm able to reply within a couple of seconds.
Hi, Rafael, my name, from Germany. So welcome to Acapulco, Vit.
Thank you.
We are a small European community here also. I think the breaking point for Liberland is its relationship with Croatia.
Yes.
Can you update us about the development on this front?
Well, the relationship with Croatia was difficult from beginning, right? The hundreds of people were arrested, and it really reminded me of the good old days of Israel being formed. It was also 200 people were arrested first year when Israel was founded. Actually, that is being lower and lower. Like whenever we bring now more people in Liberland, and I had, for example, Miss Motorsport competition there in autumn, and we had some 35 beautiful women, and they all visited Liberland. The Croatia police backed off, so we had a very good event there. But it's always a power game between us and Croatians, and Croatians are on very thick, very thin ice. That means they are actually we elevated the court case all the way to the Constitutional Court, and they should have replied to us last week, but they didn't. Even on the Constitutional Court level, they are trying to put the whole thing in the shelf and trying not to respond, which gives us now opportunity to actually push things all the way to the European Court of Human Rights. Because of course, if they don't claim this piece of land, what they are doing technically, when Liberlander come in Liberland, and they arrest him, they are committing a cross-border kidnapping, which is not a nice thing from them to do. It's actually international crime. So our case is well founded. If you now look up, for example, the Chicago Journal of International Law or Michigan Journal of International Law, we've got these independent studies that actually show exactly step by step the legality of our claim. Because Croatia, since it doesn't claim the territory, they cannot arrest people on it. And that's the only thing that we want from them, right? We don't want anything else. We don't want Croatia to recognize us. We don't want them to give us some handouts. We don't even need to open the borders with them. We are directly on international waterway. So that's the only thing that we want, is that they just removed these 10 to 15 policemen, and we've got a free access to the country.
I was wondering about when you were looking at where to locate Liberland, did you also consider Zomia? And if you would talk about that a little bit.
Which country?
It's not a country, it's a region of Southeast Asia. There's a book called The Art of Not Being Governed, and it's called Zomia.
Well, I haven't considered that, and I will be more than happy if you send me something to the email or you talk to me after the event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Vit. You only spoke briefly about money and commerce. Can you talk a little bit about how Liberland interfaces with the outside countries for imports and exports?
Well, that's the crazy thing, right? It's really tiring to make these declaration and things like that. Of course, Liberland will have zero import and export tax. And I think that will be one of the things that will really bring a lot of commerce through the region. Liberland is located on Danube, which is international waterway that gives us a free passage to Liberland. They cannot stop us being in Liberland waters, right? Because we've got almost 1 square kilometer of water as well. But if we allow ourselves and if we basically make the trade completely free, it's very likely that the place will become a hub for commerce into the whole region.
Hi, I think it's a great idea. I have a question. My question is, what do you think if this idea becomes bigger and bigger and more successful? Would you be forced to play at what point with the globalists, to play ball and do things differently?
Well, this is the thing about Liberland, right? You don't change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, make a new model that makes the other model obsolete, the old model obsolete, and this is what we are doing, right? We actually don't give a damn about the new world order. They can do whatever they want. We are just doing our thing. And
but at one point they could say, there is a terrorist hiding in Liberland and they have to bomb you. Sorry about that.
Well, they can bomb Liberland right now. We were the best protected place on the planet, and we don't even have to pay for it. And if you put an atomic bomb on Liberland, only 15 Croatian policemen will die. So in that respect, right now we've got a pretty good protection. But a part of that, we don't want to actually have completely open borders. Like, we would like to have a visa on arrival. We would like to make sure that no terrorists, no criminals are just running around in Liberland and that it will be a safe place. But what we want to make sure is to make it extremely easy. Whenever you run into the country, it will be just like, running into some shopping mall, basically, and you can get easily in and out if you've got the passage.
All the best luck.
Thank you.
What's the current route and cost of citizenship, whether through whatever currency or effort?
Yeah, well, we've got this system, and it's really for the people that are interested. Whoever helps gets merits for it. So we are trying to evaluate the way that people contribute to Liberland. If it's with finances, we've got merit is tied to US dollar for now. So it's 1 against 1. If you send $1, you get 1 merit. And basically, the idea is similar to what Dash is having. You have to have a minimum amount of tokens in order to be citizen. So that minimum amount of it is now 5,000. So whoever collects more than 5,000 merits can claim the citizenship. And of course, people are getting citizenship different ways. I think the best way is to help Liberland in some very creative way. And artists are a great example. The people that can help us with diplomacy, business. That's a fast passage to get the Liberland citizenship, and it doesn't have to be financial.
You're doing amazing work, thank you. What precautions do you take so that in 7 generations' time, that this is still a voluntary and free society and that it's not corrupted by a state?
Well, what are those conditions? I want to inspire people to create more Liberland. So even in 7 generations, there is enough competition, and I think that's the best way how to make sure that Liberland will be a free place. If there is a healthy competition of 1,000 Liberlands around the planet, and people can very easily move from one to another, the incentives to have extremely low regulation and incentives to have very low taxes or zero voluntary taxes, I think are very high, and this is something which, we should really embrace. Yeah. All right, one more question or two more questions?
Yeah, I think you sort of answered part of my question while I was in line, but that was in terms of borders and immigration policy. So am I correct to understand that Liberland is not going to have open borders? It's going to have like private property borders? And part two of the question is, do you favor physically removing people who violate the non-aggression principle?
Well, that's a good question.
I'm Herman Hoppa.
Thank you. Well, of course, Liberland, and when you are signing up for citizenship of Liberland on liberland.org, it's one of the questions. Do you respect private property of other people? And everybody that applies for e-residency, which is a lower grade of citizenship, and anybody that basically sends application becomes e-resident of Liberland, and it takes like 3 minutes to apply, by the way. Anybody that applies is, screened, and he's asked these questions, and if he doesn't respect private property, then he's not going to get even e-residency. All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. It was fun.
There was an idea
to bring together a group of remarkable people
to see if we could become something more. So when they needed us, we could fight the battles
that they never could.
In time, the state will know what it's like to lose. To feel so desperately that it's right, yet to fail all the same. Dread it. Run from it. Freedom still arrives.
Vacate the state. Engage all the speakers and get this man a microphone.
Fun isn't something that one considers when eradicating tyranny. But this does put a smile on my face.